because it's not just about getting the money. You can get $10,000 easy if you try hard enough, know the right person. How do I get $10,000 every month for the next 10 years? That's a way bigger fish to fry. And so I like to navigate the treacherous spaces with nonprofits in that way, or even for-profit businesses, and then even the collective opportunities to work together in partnership with for-profit and nonprofit, because
I
we
love
skip
that.
over it and we miss opportunities because we want to pigeonhole ourselves in one space.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Elevate Your Impact in our Elevate Your Impact series, where we bring community resources to nonprofit leaders and those who just want to do better in their stewardship of their nonprofit orgs. I'm Jamila Robinson, your host, and also the founder of Elevate Your Impact, where we help nonprofits with their online presence and storytelling through video production, email marketing, and social media management. And today I have a very special guest who is now a part of our Sunday social community too. Excited to introduce you all to Jessica Wright. She is the founder of My Grant Gold, and she is going to drop some golden nuggets on us today, guys, about grants and funding and securing funding to do the mission work of your nonprofit. Jessica, so excited to have you today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks. Tell us a little bit more about your organization and what it is you do.
Well, I would be considered a for-profit business. So I am Jessica Wright with My Grant Gold, and I am a fundraising strategist and a philanthropic architect. And I call myself a philanthropic architect because I'm not just applying for grants. And there's nothing wrong with that function. It is desperately needed in the nonprofit space. However, I am building ecosystems. I'm navigating treacherous waters. I am looking at laws. I am making sure that we actually get to what it is that we need. My background, I've been doing this for about 25 years. I've done it for profit and nonprofit. The culmination of me being an independent contractor has brought $7.5 million and still counting to organizations and businesses across the United States. I do have some international clients, and we're still in process. So those things are brewing. But what I focus on most when I'm talking, when I'm thinking, when I'm strategizing, when I teach capacity building, etc., is what funders actually need and are evaluating beyond what you need, what it really means to be grant ready, the structural mistakes that cost organizations funding, and then like basically like how leaders can position themselves for sustainable funding. Because it's not just about getting the money. You can get $10,000 easy if you try hard enough, know the right person. How do I get $10,000 every month for the next 10 years? That's a way bigger fish to fry. And so I like to navigate the treacherous spaces with nonprofits in that way, or even for-profit businesses, and then even the collective opportunities to work together in partnership with for-profit and nonprofit, because
I
we
love
skip
that.
over it and we miss opportunities because we want to pigeonhole ourselves in one space.
For sure. Um, can you speak more to what drew you to helping nonprofits become more strategic, like what you mentioned with the sustainability? I love that piece because most of us are still at that space where we're trying to, just secure funding, but it's more, the bigger picture is sustainability. So what drew you to helping nonprofits with that?
Um, my my ultimate goal to helping nonprofits, or why I started, was because nobody was doing it, or nobody was doing it correctly, and there was no structure. So my first grant I ever wrote was for 100 backpacks from my local church because we were having a back to school drive. And then I realized that not only did I have the backpacks now, which was fantastic, but we needed to fill them with school supplies, and kids needed coats and backpacks. And then we needed food for that day. We needed a jumper, a bouncy house for people to be able to do those things. And those were all things that I wasn't thinking about past getting that first grant. And I kept hitting my head. I kept running into that same wall. And so I said, I need to be able to think bigger, to strategize. And again, I did not have the language for it initially, but that's where I grew to. And I said, okay, if I were to do this from beginning to end, like if I thought of every single thing, the big starting points, and then like, yay, victory, what's in the middle? And that's where strategy was born for me.
I love that. Let's bring some truths and reality to our conversation. I want to bust some nonprofit grant myths out there. Um,
Okay.
First, start off by telling us what nonprofit leaders often misunderstand about grants.
That it is free money, that it is in this limitless surplus that is owed to you because you are special. You are not special. And I say that with love. That's me holding your hand with
I
a
love
napkin in
that.
between you, saying, hey, I think that, somebody might think you're the greatest, but when everybody has a sad story or a story of need or a story of impact, what makes you stand out? And so let's demystify grants. It's free money, but it's free money with conditions. It's free
Right.
money attached to laws. It's free
Right.
money attached to timelines, which a lot of
And
people do not
accountability,
respect.
right? Because don't you have to show them
Accountability
how you're
structures.
spending the money? Yeah.
Yes, accountability structures and reporting from beginning to end and even 6 months after. And you have to make sure that you're thinking about those things before you ask anybody for money. Just like we wouldn't walk up to a bank and say, hey, I'm a good candidate. Give me some money for a loan. We know that
Right.
there is a due process that is set up. It is the same thing for grants. However, grant structures based on who the funder is might vary. There's still many, 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 many conditions that go along with you getting grant funding.
I love that answer. Why do so many nonprofits struggle to secure funding even when their mission is strong? Like I know you touched a bit about it on it about stating that nonprofits think that they're special and they see they're meeting a core need, but how are they not standing out in the right ways?
A lot of times they lack structure. So no financial systems, no program delivery model, no reporting capabilities. They can talk about intention all day, but they cannot prove impact or even the strategy to create impact. They have no plan. They can't give metrics or data in surrounding areas. A lot of times when we think about anything outside of ourselves, that's my competition. Untrue. Those are your contemporaries. You should be learning from them. And you use their metrics, their data to be able to prove that there's an actual need. Then you go and you jump into, and this is what I can do. And then you add a level of innovation, and that's how you build something strong that funders will look at and say, hey, I might give you a chance to go to the second round, or I might give you a chance to see what you'll do in the ideation phase with this $10,000 or $50,000. It can vary, but you know, it's worth a try, but you have to have that structure in place.
Absolutely. I love what you called out about leveling up an opportunity that gives the funder a new lane to support. That's totally true. Um, let's switch over to grant readiness and positioning. What foundational elements should organizations have in place before applying grants? And you touched on a little bit of these answers too, but let's be clear and call it out. What do they need to have in place?
Relationships.
Good
We are
one.
only as good as our community. We skip over it. We are self involved. We are self interested. And there's nothing wrong. Again, you are doing specific work to you, something that's, put in your heart. And, like I've been thinking about this since I was a little baby girl and walking down the red roads of Texas. And you tell yourself all these things. We tell ourselves these stories, which are fantastic and they help us in our storytelling during the program design phase. However, you also need to have things outside of yourself. Build community, have
Yes.
a solid reputation. People need to know who you are. And then a level of consistency. People want to get their 501c3 approved and then immediately start work and immediately be approved for $1 million. That is not realistic in anybody's world. Unless somebody's already said, hey, I'm going to give you $1 million and I'm putting it in writing once your 501c3 is approved. Okay, fine. It happens one in a million times. But for everyone else, the rest of us, You have to have a community. And
Agreed.
it can't just be, well, there are 14 soup kitchens, but nobody gives out hugs at the end of their soup kitchen, Fridays like you do. That's
That's
your
right.
level of innovation. That's the nuance. That's the shift and the change. And so that's something that people miss. And then also, again, structure. Being able to talk about, this is my intention, this is my impact. These are the people that are going to help me execute this vision, even if they are not full time employees. Resumes in place for your board. Also showing the value of your board. This is a touchy subject. People don't like to talk about it because that's my great auntie. My great auntie is on the board
Mm,
because she raised me on them red roads in Texas. But auntie can't raise money. Auntie ain't giving money. Auntie don't
she's
know
not
nobody
adding value
except
to your
the three
board.
senior citizens
Mm-hmm.
on her mother's board at church, and they don't got no money. And we have to make sure that, again, we're building a business. Nonprofits are businesses.
Amen.
Although we do
Not
good
for
work
profit
and do
businesses.
well,
Absolutely.
we are businesses. We function as businesses. And I say
Agree.
we just because that's the place I abide in the most. But we have to think about it that way, that I'm only as good as my community. I have to have a level of structure, and I have to have a board that will work for my business.
I love that. Those are two great gold nuggets, and something that we try to amplify through our Elevate Your Impact social Sunday socials. Because a lot of nonprofit leaders are siloed in their mission work. Um,
Yeah.
but we are very fortunate to be in a metroplex in Houston that speaks to building relationships quite easily. Like, there are tons of networking events. There are people who are genuinely interested in learning and hearing about your story. That's how you and I connected. And,
Yes.
and, and you do have to have community around growing your not-for-profit business. And that board member piece is a real thing. You have to have people on your board who are willing to roll up their sleeves and do the work with you. They have to come alongside you, like you said, and they
Yes.
need to bring their expertise to the table. And for those
Yes.
of you who are interested in learning about more board development and governments, we do actually have a workshop that we plan to facilitate in August through my good friend and colleague Susan Nichols. So, follow our platforms to plug into that. It's going to be at a great rate, and it's going to help you level up in that lane. So, thank you for calling those out, Jessica. Now, let's talk
Okay.
about some common pitfalls that most nonprofit leaders fall into. What are the biggest mistakes you see nonprofits making when applying for grants?
Some of the very simplest ones was not respecting other people's time. They feel like timelines are suggestions. That due date is real. And when someone says this application closes on the 14th at 5 p.m., there will be no exceptions. They don't care that your grandma's boyfriend's puppy had a heart attack. They won't have sympathy because there's 400 other people that turned it
Right.
in on time or probably early.
Yep.
And so respecting time. Another one is not providing everything that they asked for. What I do for my clients is that every time I see a grant application, I copy and paste every single question, every single requirement into another document. Then I also turn it into a checklist. I have a copy, they have a copy. And we're going through and we put dates and times on when these things are due for us internally. And then if we can help it, not always, but if we can help it, our goal is to be complete and whole in regards to turning everything in 2 weeks before that due date is set. And
I
that's to
love
give
that.
us time because something might happen.
Yeah.
Because our grandma's boyfriend's puppy had a heart will have a heart attack and we got to tend to grandma and the boyfriend. Right? So we
Yes.
get we
Look,
build those
life
things
happened
in.
today with us setting up this podcast.
Yeah.
But fortunately, when we were ready to push record, we were ready to go. So
Yes.
you're
But
absolutely right. You
but
have to
those things
prepare
need to be
yourself.
set up, and again, structure for your program also. So certain systems that should be built inside of your internal structure to make sure that you can talk about everything that you say that you are. Also, understanding, this is a big one that people skip over, your core values. So if I walk into your organization today from the janitor to the executive director. Everybody should be able to say what I like to call the big four. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve?
Oh, I
And
love that.
then how much money do you need? So if there's a billionaire walking through and you can say, what are you guys trying to do? How much are you trying to raise? Like, well, we serve, dislocated puppies that have lost their left pinky toe. And we make sure that, that they are accommodated for and find loving foster care. And until they do, we make sure that we have a facility that accommodates them for up to 14 business days. And once that's done, we transition them out. And each puppy needs $173 million to be able to get through that full process for us.
Mhm.
And I said it with passion. You almost believe me, don't you?
Yeah.
Because
I was
I
just about
know
to
our
call
core
that out.
values.
Yeah.
I know our core values. Everybody should know them. I shouldn't be able to walk into your organization and ask your receptionist or your admin or whoever that's frontline staff that greets the people. And I say, hey, so what are you guys about? Well, I think we help dogs. And they like us, so it's good. That should never be that should
Never,
never be
ever, ever, ever.
anything that's happening. And even if you're a fully remote uh organization, which happens, and you don't have a brick and mortar, everyone should know your core values. Your board should know your core values because again, your board should be busy for your
Hmm.
organization. But yes, not knowing your core values, not having internal structure set up, and then also making sure that there's joy connected to even the saddest of situations. We're help dealers, basically.
Hmm.
We're selling hope. We're selling that the work that we do is going to matter to someone. That demographic that we serve and support will get what they need because we're doing what we want, but with joy. We skip over those because we're like, well, it's such hard work, but we have to show the joy in it, and that because then if there's joy, then there's hope, and that means that there's something that's pliable, malleable that we can work with tomorrow.
I love that. Those are two great call outs. So what I heard people is everybody from the board member to the janitor pushing the broom needs to know your core values and they need to be passionate about supporting you. That is so key. And then the other thing is we're selling hope to people in dire situations. I love that you call that out because that's one of the ways that we talk about the care packages in my nonprofit is we're packaging hope in a box. We're giving new hope to a family that has encountered loss with steps to move forward and navigate their life after this grief. So, man, you just know those two on the head. Thanks. Thanks for that, Jessica.
Happy to
Um,
help.
let's talk about application and action with all of the things that we've just discussed about funding and sustainability and infrastructure and how you build your team. What's one thing a nonprofit leader can do this week to become more grant ready? I know there's a lot of things, but think of your
Yes.
key one.
One thing I would say is to get outside, to go network. So you host a phenomenal opportunity for engagement with other nonprofit leaders. That's happening, I think, what, in May, right? That's coming
May
up.
17th, that's our next one.
Right.
We host those quarterly.
Uh, and so you should be in places like that. Also, go to your contemporaries. Again, we're knocking out that word competition. Go outside and meet your contemporaries and say, hey, I do what you do. Can I volunteer one day a month? Just for the next 6 months, just to see how you run what you do. I'd love for us to be able to collaborate later. There might be potential conflicts, or there might not be in regards to like us doing the same exact work. Because again, everyone has their level of innovation. Everybody does something a little bit different. Listen, we both have afro-like hair, but yours is a fluffy, natural, curl situation. Mine is, we've added some things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
same concept but a different situation. We're both wearing glasses. Mine are red, yours are darker color.
Yeah.
Again, same concept, but nuance, things that make us who we are. Won't be afraid to be in the same lane as someone else. And so that's something, if you could do one thing, that won't cost you anything except a little sweat equity and getting outside of your comfort zone more than likely. That's something you could do today.
I love that again, because there is community and collaborating, even if you are in the same lanes. With Missing Pieces Support Group, we collaborate with other pregnancy and infant loss organizations to serve the community with a Wave of Light event that happens every month October during Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. It just helps you elevate your impact when you come together with like minded colleagues. I love that response. Here's another one. How can small teams manage grant strategy without feeling overwhelmed?
Rip that application apart. So, like I said, copy and paste it in a Google Doc or Microsoft Word doc. Everybody take a section, whatever your area of expertise or as close as you can get to that, and then outsource. Find people that can help you. A lot of people will help you for free, but you aren't asking
Mhm.
because we going back to that first point, you aren't networking, you don't have community. Get community. Find there are a lot of accountants that will donate time to do budgets.
That's
There
right.
are a lot of graduate students that need the time, the hours to be able to write for credit.
Yeah.
And if you're a legitimate and accredited 501c3, you have the ability to be able to comp them those hours and allow them to donate them. And then also that can go towards your budget in building your budget because those are hours that are worth this much. It was an in-kind donation or it was a part of credit hours, but it still counts towards your budget because it's work that got done. And so we're missing opportunities because we're not tearing it apart. So don't be afraid of that big application. Rip it apart.
Yeah.
Be a team. And if you're a good writer, if you're a strong writer and you love talking about program design and program overviews or executive summaries, that's your time to shine and focus on that. Make it the best that you've ever written. Again, money person, write that. And then if you're a data person, you provide the metrics. You talk about impact. And again, if you don't have the data yet, go to your contemporary, look at their website, look at the reports that are in your county and find the data because they have to publish those things every year, every couple years by law. So that's free data that you can access to be able to make your case on why you need the money.
Agreed. Speaking of getting help and consultant services, how can our community find you, Jessica?
Oh,
Where do we
that's
find
easy.
you?
Listen, um, I do a multiplicity of things just because adult ADHD and all my God given gifts. I do a lot, so it can sometimes it's capacity building seminars. I host boot camps, nonprofit leadership summits, grant writing, grant strategy, fundraising strategy. And you can find all those things on thejessicawright.com. So just the in front of my first and last name.com, thejessicawright.com.
I love that. And you also host a community building event too, Caffeine and
Yes.
Capital. Be sure
Yes.
to look out for that information at that platform as well. Thank
Yes.
you
Our next
so
one is
much.
happening very, very soon, April 16th, Thursday, April 16th at 7
April
p.m.
16th. That's the next one.
Yes.
Don't miss it. Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate the information and the gold nuggets you dropped on our community. If there was something you overlooked or didn't catch it right, hit the rewind button. That's the beauty of this podcast. You can go back and watch it and listen as much as you need to. You can share it with other friends, share it with your board members. If this is something you're seriously interested in taking the next steps with. So again, thank you, Jessica, for joining us on today's episode. And we'll see you at the next Sunday social. Take care.